Absolutely delighted to be joined here by Tom Zanetti. His first time on the podcast. How are you doing, Tom?
Not too bad, man. Where's Tom Zanetti from?
What do you mean, where's it? You're Tom Zanetti?
I know, yeah, but where am I from?
Leeds.
Quiz now.
Leeds.
All the way from the beautiful Leeds.
The last time I was talking to you, I was actually just thinking about this there before I came on. I don't know if the place is even open the last time.
Don't think it was.
Yeah, well then it's at least 6 months, if not 7. Easily.
Really nice. How's it going?
Fantastic. Good staff, cracking vibes. Next project for the year is to get the tattoo shop open. Was supposed to happen before now. Had a couple of setbacks. But
what's the name of the tattoo shop?
Crybaby Tattoo.
Again, another great. I said this the last time. Crybaby, Rude Boys.
Crybaby now is.
They sound like brands.
Yeah, it's not that Crybaby is not my idea. That's actually Aaron Phelan's idea. That's the other Aaron's idea.
Fair play to Aaron. That's a serious name.
Cracker, I thought was deadly.
Really good, really good. 2 great names. What I want to talk to you today, Aaron, what I want to talk to you about today is, because last time we talked about your business, the business side of barbering. We talked about stuff like college as well and taking risks and things like that. Today, I want to go into the more technical side of your work. Haircuts.
Beautiful.
Why do haircuts? It's something that I think about a lot because I get my haircut every week, right? I get a skin fade every week. That's the downside of getting a skin fade is it looks pretty shit after 1 week, grows back very quick, and you almost look like a completely different person. But I want to know why, when I get a fade, right, why do I look and feel so much better?
I think from personal experience, what you've just said is kind of more or less the same. I think self-projection is a massive part of image in general. I've heard an awful lot of people saying, particularly in the last couple of weeks, because with regard to different dress senses and people that I know, that say, oh yeah, that suits him. And I think that's very, very poignant. I think that's basically making the point for you. I think you come in, you could get a skin fade. At the minute, I'm trying to go for something a bit longer, just from experimentation. It's the basis of the job, and I kind of like working with scissors at the minute, so I said I'd experiment with something longer myself. But I think that whole self-expression, that whole, how would you describe it, self-projection is all based on what you like. So when you come in, you get a haircut and you like it and you feel like yourself again. You feel like you look like the best version of yourself. I think that really, really projects then. So when you go out of the shop compared to when you come in, your hair is longer, you feel a bit scruffy, don't feel yourself, you don't feel like you look well. When you walk out, got a fresh skin fade. If you're longer hair, you just got to tidy it up. If you've gone for a total restyle, the fact that you're walking out, I know people always say, like even you were saying it to me beforehand when we were kind of prepping, about how you feel like a different person. You feel like you look like a different person. The reality is, to 99% of people, they won't recognize the difference between a 0 fade, a 0.5 fade, and a skin fade. They'll just notice the fact that your hair is short. They might not, like, if it's a particularly good haircut, they'll notice that it's a nice haircut. The technicalities.
Say for example, right? So a 1 guard is a 3 millimeter, right? And a 0 is, or a skin fade is nothing.
Yes.
Say the hair grows how quick?
God, I think it's an inch a month.
So let's say it grows like 3 millimeters a week, right? Or 6 millimeters a week. So how do I explain this? Basically, I'm saying, say you get a skin fade, right?
Yeah.
And you wait 2 weeks. And it's the same length as what your hair would be if you just got a 2-blade on the back and sides.
I get your basic understanding. Yeah, go on.
Does it look, so is your hair going to look the same 2 weeks after a skin fade as it is if you've just got like a 1.5 or a 2 fresh out of the barbershop, assuming that they're the same length? Because I feel that you look way fresher, even though a 1.5 or 2 is longer. If you just got, it's just the fact that you just got the haircut.
Yeah, I get where
you're way fresher, even though it's the same length as a skin fade after 2 weeks.
Yeah, I
mean?
feel, but obviously now, look, realistically, if you've gotten a skin fade and you've got no line up around the ears coming down the back of the neck and front and all that kind of stuff, when you get a 2 on the back and sides or 1.5 or a 1 or whatever, all of this is kind of lined up. So you do seem fresher. There's probably a bit of a tail, so it's going to look a little bit fresher. But with regard to your point, again, if you like say to an awful lot of people, getting a 2 back and sides is the same as you getting a skin fade. Do you know what I mean? Things can be the same. Couple of little technicalities are going to be different. They are different haircuts, they're different styles. The way people finish it too on the back and sides compared to a grown out skin fade is obviously going to look radically different. But again, I think it comes to self-projection. It's you coming out of the barbershop, you feel better, you feel fresh, you feel like a new man or woman, depends. You feel new, like brand new. And you feel like you've gotten something done that's made you feel better as a person. So you're projecting more yourself out into the world. And because you're more projective, it just makes you seem like, it might not make it even seem different to other people, but for you, you feel like you're projecting differently. For you, you feel like your whole vibration is different.
I completely agree. But man, even after a week, maybe my hair grows faster because Mexico has hotter weather. But after a week, I feel like a difference. Like, look at my hair, right? Look at my hair now. How long ago do you think I got that cut?
I would probably say you got a skin fade last time.
Yeah.
Probably about 5 days, 6 days.
4 days ago.
Close.
4 days ago, but it already. It doesn't bother me, but it's just I find it fascinating how I look and feel, in my opinion, different.
Yeah, I genuinely think it's a self-projection. But again, just on that too, the style that you pick also dictates that. That was me going to 10%. The fact that you're so skinned is basically why after 4 or 5 days, when you have hair, when you have a bit of growth on the sides, it looks so much worse to you. So you think, oh my God, this is the end of the world. Whereas someone who has a 2 back and sides generally won't notice as much the growth in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It's generally around week 2 to week 6, they'll see that difference come in where they're thinking, right, I need a new haircut. Whereas because it's so short, when you see anything at all on the sides, that's when you go, I need a haircut. But your hair is going to grow anyway because you're bald.
The more often you get your haircut, does that have any impact on how quickly it grows back? No?
Not to my knowledge, no. And the reason I say that is there's obviously people who've been getting their haircut quite regularly for 20, 30 years and they still end up going bald. So now look, I could be wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. There's obviously science out there to prove and justify that. I just cut the hair that's in the chair. Do you know what I mean? I do.
That sounds like a quote that you should stick up on your wall. I cut the hair that's in the chair. It's good. It's good rhyme there, man. Should work with that.
Rhyming scheme. To me, that's from what I know or what I see with people. I don't see any difference. You get an awful lot of people come in and go, "Oh, lad, my hair just grows so quick, like, you know, there's nothing I can do about it." But realistically, their hair doesn't grow any different to anybody else's from what I've seen.
Yeah.
So I can't speak on the science. I can only speak on what I see. And from what I've seen, it doesn't make that much of a difference.
And how often are lads coming in getting their haircuts?
It depends. Like the longest, obviously, you've got a couple of outliers in everything. You've got guys who are going to come in every 4 or 5 days. You've also got people who are going to come in once every 6 months.
4 or 5 days.
Yeah, we've had a couple of guys come in. Like I have two lads particularly who come in on a weekly basis. If they listen to this, they know exactly who they are. But they're booked in at the same time every week. Fantastic clients, fantastic people, and they're just. It's great to have people like that you know, right? I'm going to see them on a weekly basis. I'm going to see that guy on a bi-weekly basis. Going to see that guy every 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. To answer the question, an awful lot of people have kind of got back to the 2 week thing. So 2 weeks is kind of when an awful lot of people are doing it because skin fades are in fashion and that's what suits them. There is a larger group of people who get your standard hair. I call them standard gents. Now, when I say standard gents, they're nothing standard about the haircuts. They're obviously all individual, but I mean 2 back and sides, higher blades, scissors cuts. they stretch. So they'll probably go anywhere from 2 to 6 to 8 weeks without a haircut, and they won't notice that much difference. That's why it's all relevant to what I was saying here earlier on. It's all relative to the person, how long they like to see their hair. If the person wears their hair longer, having a bit of length in it isn't going to bother them. If the person prefers their hair skin short, that's when they're going to notice after a couple of days. It's going to make more of a difference. They're going to hate it more when there's hair there. But
because I remember obviously when we were younger, I had longer hair. It wasn't long, but it wasn't.
We're lovely.
It wasn't short at all, was it? Because I remember in third year I got my hair cut twice.
Oh yeah.
In the whole year.
Sure.
Now, the thought of me going 2 weeks without a haircut is horrifying, man.
I saw a picture there recently of you. I don't know what it was. It came up. I don't know if it was on Facebook. I don't know if it was a school photo. I just very distinctly remember seeing you and your hair was down like here over your ears.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time it hit off the ear. I don't know. I just feel so much fresher. Do you think it has any effect on how your face appears? Does it accentuate the prominent features of your face? Because I've heard that.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of science into that. So if somebody has a particularly long face, they're going to want to do, look, there's an awful lot of science where people say, right, if you have a round face, you want to elongate the face, or you want to use the shape of the face more. So if someone has good bone structure, you're going to do this haircut, this hairstyle to accentuate the cheekbones, accentuate the jawbone. If somebody has a really long face, you don't want to cut it this way because there's an awful lot of that. To me, as much as there's obviously science to that, and it's very true and it's very fair, for me as a professional, I still think that it's more important for the person to feel that they're happy with the haircut, because I think that they'll accentuate themselves without you having to do it once they're happy with it. Obviously, again, like everything, there's outliers. There's guys who will ask for ridiculous things, and it looks like ridiculous. What? Oh, I'm not going to quote, but there's an awful lot of, all I will say is in the years I've been cutting it, I've seen some weird stuff, like really weird stuff. I've tried to talk people out with some seriously weird stuff, and sometimes it works and people are happy. A lot of the time guys will ease into things, so I might say, right, I think this will suit you better from a professional standpoint because of this. Obviously very nicely, because people are quite touchy about their hair, particularly the way it's cut, the style they wear. Like I said to you, your hairstyle is part of your image. It's part of you as a person and what you want to portray to the world. So you have to be a bit sketchy about that too. But if you can manage to mirror somebody's best traits from an aesthetic standpoint, somebody who's got great bone structure, somebody who's got lovely eyes, someone who's got, believe it or not, amazing eyebrows, anything like that, anything you can do to accentuate the best characteristics of a person, the best aesthetic characteristics of a person with a haircut, I think can only add to the experience. But you have to be willing to accept that some lads just won't go for it.
Yeah. And do you know that? Like, is that something that as a barber you have an inclination towards? You see a guy and you just know when he walks in what type of style would suit him?
Yeah, I think so. With an awful lot of, not all barbers again, but an awful lot of barbers have, it's very hard to describe. An awful lot of barbers are very similar people in the sense of their interests. So obviously barbers and tattoos are synonymous now because of pop culture, because of the way we're portrayed in different settings, whether it's, barber celebrities or something like that. You're seeing every day, whether it's kind of barber magazines where models have tattoos and stuff. There's obviously historical reasons, which is more the reason why barbers and tattoos are one and the same. They always come under the same gravy. Coffee has become a thing now for barbers as well. Coffee, tattoos, barbers, all one. Style is always one of the biggest things within the barber trade. So an awful lot of lads actually base their style from kind of very young off the way their barbers dress now, because barbers like to be stylish. They like to wear nice brands. Some of them that don't wear the nice brand still seem to dress well. So for me personally, when I see someone coming through the door, I'm getting a vibe of their style straight away of what kind of stuff they're into. So if someone walks through the door, they're wearing particular clothing brands, they're wearing a certain style of clothes, I know, okay, that's a skater dude. If he comes in and he's got like his AstroTurf boots on, he's a young lad, I know, right, he's into soccer. He's into soccer. What's in soccer at the minute? V-cuts are coming back in soccer. Okay, let's have a chat with him. Who's your favourite team? You kind of get an inclination for the person. But you can do it one or two ways. You can either go and you get an inclination for the way the person looks as a person, or what you think their look should be based on their face shape, their body type. But you can also do the thing of, right, this guy is into listening to podcasts. This guy is into Joe Rogan, science, really, really technical stuff, really, really science and information based. So he's probably going to want a very conservative haircut because it's the stereotype. Skaters are going to come in, they're going to want something so alternative and different. So you go, okay, why don't you try this? Because they generally like to go against the grain. They're trying to stand out a bit. You know, it's all based on the person. It's all based on the person, what they're looking to do. It's, you know, it's all personal choice. Again, self-projection, all that kind of good buzzword stuff.
Excellent. And I know you mentioned style, would you consider incorporating some type of style element into your barbering business? Because I know you got the tattoo shop is going to be an add-on. Because the reason why a lot of guys are getting their haircuts so often, or they care about their hairstyle, they want to go to the best, they want to go to guys like you and Aaron, is because they care about their appearance. And it all comes down to appearance. You know, your haircut is actually a part of your style.
100%. It's part of your image.
Exactly. And is that something you consider in the future, going on to, or diversifying into style or clothes or some element beyond barbering?
If it, like 100%, if it was something that I could diversify into, again, it would depend on the situation. I love clothes. So if I ever had it, I love clothes, I love fragrance. So if there was ever a case where I could delve deeper into both of those, I definitely would. I would be interested in doing a YouTube series. Tom Ford, whom I love very much, from both a human and kind of designer standpoint, he done a series which is really good. You should watch it. On I'm trying to think who he was with. He done it with some magazine anyway. But basically, what he did, he brought in average everyday Joe soaps, and he Tom Forded them. He gave them the fragrance. He gave them a haircut with some hairstylist or barber from Beverly Hills, whom I have to give credit to, is actually very, very good. All of these just a whole makeover for all the world, which is something that an awful lot of men aren't doing. An awful lot of men aren't willing to put their kind of physical form or shape or look or image that they're looking for in someone else's hands. You know, so like you might want to be a punk. That might be your whole thing. You might like that whole kind of long jackets and boots and black jeans. So you're going out and you're basing your buying choices, your hairstyle, all of this kind of stuff off of one specific person you look up to. And you're going, that's how I get that style. Whereas that might not suit you. There might be a better way to do what you're looking to do for you personally. It was something I was interested in doing. It was basically that Tom Ford thing where we take people in and they just let us turn them into models for what we call collection. So a collection shoot is like an editorial magazine shoot for barbers, for barber magazines and elsewhere. Bring them in, dress them up, give them a nice haircut, take a couple of nice photos of them and let them out again. Give them some advice on hair. I don't know very much about style.
It's like what you did with me 2 years ago.
I didn't get my hands.
Say that again?
I didn't get my hands on your wardrobe yet.
Yeah, well, no, we did a little bit of a wardrobe because we went to Newbridge that day, and it was
your wardrobe's gotten better.
It has a court, right? Hey. That's not saying much, but I mean, it doesn't take much to improve on that. But remember, I bought my first pair of white tennis shoes that day, ever. And never looked back since. I'm wearing black shoes right now, but yeah, black shoes and white shoes. I always have tennis shoes now, the white ones.
Yeah, that I apologize. It probably sounded very pretentious and assumptive by me.
No, but should have stayed. I remember my hair was 3 months grown out, and then you cut it, did the mullet first, and then it was just the killer fade.
That was unbelievable. I still have those pictures.
That's such a good example. Can you send me those pictures?
I will.
Can you send me the pic? Do you have like a before and after?
I have a look.
That's a really good example of what I'm talking about. How a haircut and a change in style in the same day can make you look like a different person.
I still think that mullet was really cool.
I like the mullet as well. But out here, man, I don't know. There's a few guys rocking mullets out here. Mexican guys rocking mullets.
You see, there's kind of like this mod mullets that are going on now. So they're not just race Billy Ray Cyrus. I want my mullet back. That's all kind of gone. It's more kind of modern mullets, like what you would have seen New Zealand players a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah, man, they're all on mullets right now. The New Zealand guys.
Crazy, and an awful lot of barbers have started to stylize mullets now. I love doing mullets. I love doing V-cuts. V-cuts are coming back massively. Here, I don't know
the
about
2009 V-cut from when we were in primary school.
Real V-cuts.
Yeah.
Those hair V-cuts were awful back then. V-cuts now, like, people are exposed to more media now, so they've got better ideas and more aesthetic ideas than before. Whereas back when we were getting V-cuts, well, I don't know if you ever had a V-cut.
Never,
back when
never.
We were seeing one picture in a magazine that the dude was like 30, was ripped to bits, gorgeous, perfect bone structure. And we were going, here, can I have that V-cut there, please? And then they cut it, and you think you look like that. You don't.
Yeah.
And even look at V-cuts now that we were seeing back then, they're awful.
Yeah, crazy, man. I never got the V-cut. The V-cut, man. Wasn't there the C-cut as well?
The C-cut was unreal. C-cut was basically a short mullet. It was basically what C-cut was.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever go back to that, man, to be honest. Well, I never went into it in the first place, so I think I'll stay away. Stay away! Stay away! Man, tell me, how important is it, though, your appearance overall? I mean, what do you think? I mean, whether it's style, haircut,
how philosophical you want to get on that?
Grooming, like comes down to your beard. People are getting their eyebrows done. People want to look fresh all the time.
Right.
How important do you think it is? I mean, how serious should you take your appearance?
Look, for me, on a personal thing, there's days where I literally look homeless. But as a philosophy, I think everyone should take it more seriously. I don't think you can take it. I think, obviously, there's, again, outliers and exceptions. People take it too far, their appearance is everything. I don't think it's everything, but I definitely think you should find a way to project your own self and the best version of yourself through the appearance that you portray. Not that you're portraying, the appearance you use on a daily basis. Like, if I'm going to a business meeting or you're going to a business meeting, okay, you're not going to dress the same as if you're going to chill and watch like a terrible movie with the lads and drink a couple of cans of cider or whatever. Like, you know, there's a difference. Like, you can absolutely turn up the cans with the lads in a shirt and a pair of trousers and get the shit ripped out of you, but still look good. But you can't turn up to a business meeting for a client, say. I put that more of a kind of a technical term. If you're trying to bring somebody on board in certain situations, you are far more likely to do it dressed in a certain way than you are dressed in another way. I don't think it should be the priority of it. I don't think it should be the number one priority for anybody. I think there's so much more going on that's way more important. But you look good, you're going to get a lot further.
Because that argument where it's like, don't care what other people think about you.
Yeah, but like,
I think when it comes to appearance, I mean, if you don't care what you think about you when it comes to appearance, you're fucked. Yeah,
like it's I don't know. I think it's a great way. I think it's a cop-out for an awful lot. I don't think it's a cop-out for everybody, but I think it's a cop-out for an awful lot of people. Just go, care what people think. Don't care what you think about yourself. If you look in the mirror and you haven't showered in 3 days and your hair is terrible and your beard is terrible and you smell and you've got like things hanging out of you and food there. Like, organize yourself a bit. Like, I've had lads say to me before, my ancestors were smelly. Yeah, your ancestors didn't have soap, man. Do you know what I mean? Like,
who said that to you?
I'm not saying his name, but I've had a couple of guys come roughly and say to him, like, look, man, you know, get a haircut once every 6-7 months. And now, bear in mind, again, these are guys who are just not taking care of themselves. Okay, they're not like showering regularly. Their hair's all over the place. Their clothes are all over the place. They smell bad, like just really, really bad. Like, and Now, obviously, this is not just to verify. I have dealt with this in the past. There's not guys in where I am now, but I have dealt with it in very, very irregular situations in the past. Okay, so it's not a regular thing. In case anybody's getting paranoid, it's not. It's years ago when I started barbering. Like, coming in and they give it. A couple of them have given me the speech. Oh, cavemen were still able to do this and still able to do this, and they didn't smell good. And again, relativity, like in the world you're living in today, with Instagram, with TikTok, with this whole instant gratification thing, people want instant gratification with everything. And I think an awful lot of people are buying clothes, like I say, based on what their idols or the people that they look up to are wearing or the style that they're into, without ever giving any consideration how they look themselves, how happy they are with the clothes they're wearing, if that's the image that's portraying them the best as a person. I think that's one thing that you shouldn't expect instant gratification for. You should work through clothes, work through styles, find what you like to wear, find how you like to look, make a bit of effort at it, because your image is you. It's not, I want to be, like I said to you, I want to be a punk. It's you as a person. You don't have to fit into a clique, but you just have to be yourself, and I don't think that anybody should be overly smelly or like, we'll say smelly, dirty, okay, ridiculously, like disgustingly dirty. But I think you should have your own vibe going on, even if it means that you don't fit into a dress clique or a haircut clique. I love when lads come in and say, oh, I don't really know what I want, but we'll have a look and see, and start working through a style with them that's totally unique. That's class, like. And it's very hard to find as well. Everybody's kind of, like I say, everyone's basing their style off something now. Very few people who are just totally unique anymore. So, yeah. I could go on all day, man. I could literally go on all day.
What if your personal style conflicts with the style that's expected in your workplace? You absolutely love the work that you do, but you have a problem with the style of the work, the style that the workplace is demanding from you.
Are you kind of now I know you're probably not looking to get into specifics of that, but I assume you were kind of talking about you've got a more casual, laid back style, and you're working in a job that maybe an office job or something where it's expected to wear a three-piece suit. Perhaps
that's one example. You could do the other end as well, where maybe you're a sleek dresser and what you work in is more, say, manual based.
Yeah, cool. Again, relativity. If you love what you do, I think you'll find a way to make it work. But I think that's the same with everything. I think it's the same with image, personal situations, home situations, whatever it is. I think if you really, really love what you do and you love doing something, you'll find a way to make it work. Whether it's your style, your schedule, anything like that, you'll just find a way.
It's interesting, man, because I haven't worn a suit since 2019.
Yeah.
Now that's potentially a bit to do with the virus, but to be honest, man, I don't think I would have worn one.
Look, realistic
circumstances were normal.
Do you need to wear a suit to look sleek anymore? No.
No, but I'm saying, for example, a lot of people our age work in professional services and just starting their careers, and they're wearing these suits all day. And I'm like, some of those careers, I honestly, I think I would enjoy.
Yeah, 100%.
I think I actually would enjoy, but I just would not rock up with a suit.
Just wouldn't be the thing for you.
I just would not. I don't like, me personally, I don't like suits. I wear something that's smart casual? Yes. Like a shirt and like slim chinos, nice formal shoes. Absolutely, I'd wear that. But a full-blown suit, like, not a chance.
I think that's fair enough. But the question I would pose to you is, have you ever, and I would say, I say full of, just warning as well, I'm on 2%. But
okay,
like, now I'll get a charger. If things break off, I'll just get a charger, we'll go again. But have you ever worn a suit? And when I say a suit, I don't mean
three-piece.
Yeah, but not just
never worn a three-piece, no, two-piece suit.
That's like, with regard to a two-piece suit as well, there's levels to that too. Have you worn a two-piece that's been bought off the rack that you went, oh my God, that's gorgeous? Have you bought a tailored two-piece, a tailored three-piece? Have you gone to
never tailored? I don't think it was tailored. I think I let the leg down on one of them, but never tailored.
I think your whole, I don't know, but I think your whole experience and your whole viewpoint will be drastically different if you got a tailored suit in a color.
I think suits look great if they're fitted correctly, but at the end of the day, I'm just like, when can I get this thing off?
Yeah, but how can you say you've never worn a three-piece suit? Like,
yeah, but I've worn a suit multiple times.
I just think it's relative to the situation. I'm not trying to say you're wrong. I understand totally where you're coming from because I love suits, and I've still had situations where I've worn suits and been like, oh, I just want to get it off now. Do you know what I mean? I totally understand where you're coming from, but I genuinely believe that you really enjoy wearing a three-piece suit. Well, you could, I do, but I genuinely think you'd enjoy it in certain situations. Like if you went and you had the experience of picking a color that you chose, like a material that you've chosen, that you like, that you love, and then you get a suit that's tailored to fit your body, that accentuates the best part of your body and gives you a beautiful shape, and it really shows off you. It accentuates all of the things that you wanted to, and it's everything that you want to show off. I think that's totally different to, I just bought a suit, like, and shirt's grand, you know. If I'm going to a wedding, I have no choice. I may wear one. Like. But the same thing could be said about a shirt and a pair of chinos. I'm not saying that there's any difference. It's just, for me personally, I think you could gain a lot from getting a suit tailored and really that process. But I think you can equally get the same enjoyment out of wearing a shirt and a pair of chinos.
Do you think there's an advantage to, say, in the entrepreneurial world, okay? Because there's no rules in entrepreneurship. So you're in an entrepreneurial type of career.
Okay,
where there's a set look, or there's maybe a couple of looks that people generally go for. Do you think there's an advantage to just being a complete original in your style and presentation?
I would say personally, like, entrepreneurs, you kind of set the standard for what the style is going to be. If you're in a style-based industry, obviously it's different. You design your own style and you design an aesthetic for your brand, which I get. And I think for entrepreneurs and people who are the leaders of those brands, I think it's fantastic to be individual. I think it's great for musicians to be very individual in the way they dress. Freddie Mercury is prime example of that. I was only watching Bohemian Rhapsody the other day, that's why it came in my head. But he was so distinct in what he would wear that people would instantly kind of go, oh my God, and it's a spectacle. And I think you can take an element of that from anything. For people who are working for entrepreneurs, it's different because the entrepreneur has set the standard for what he wants. He or she or them want their people to look like and work as, or what image they're looking to portray within their business. So yeah, for an entrepreneur, I think it's great to stand out. I think it's deadly to have an aesthetic that's different and individual. For a person who's working for somebody else, to be honest with you, if one of the main bones of contention that you have with a job you're working in or a lifestyle that you've picked is the fact that you're expected to dress a certain way, maybe I wouldn't say that maybe that lifestyle is not for you. Maybe you just have to set your own imprint on that lifestyle. Maybe you have to set your foot down on what that lifestyle is and what way you want to do it. That's basically what I would say about that.
Got it. Can you come a little bit closer to the phone?
No hassle. Better? What?
Yeah, a little bit better. We'll edit that bit out, or maybe we won't. Yeah, I like your point. But say, for example, if you look at barbering, right?
Yes.
A lot of the top guys, they're really slick with their style. They got tattoos everywhere. They're really big on Instagram. I don't know if they're big on TikTok as well. I assume barbers are pretty big on TikTok.
There's a whole thing on TikTok, yeah.
If you've got someone who aesthetically just doesn't look like a barber whatsoever, do you think he's got less of a chance? Obviously, it depends on the case, right? But do you think he's got less of a chance or more of a chance of blowing up his business? Just him being totally like, just does not look like the typical person of his career.
I can't really talk about other career paths, but I can talk about my own.
Yeah, use barbering as an example.
I don't want to kind of project into other things because obviously I understand barbering and that kind of career. I've seen guys who don't look like barbers who are unbelievably successful. I've seen guys who look unbelievably like a barber should. Like if you could paint a barber on a canvas, that's what that guy would look like, and they're unbelievably successful. But what I see is a minority of people who look extremely like barbers, who set the standard for what barbers are or should be in the whole public image. And I've seen guys who've done the opposite, who look nothing like barbers should, and an awful lot of barbers try to replicate them as well because they look like barbers shouldn't look, and they like that look. What I think is there is a very, very small minority of people who look like a barber and not like a barber who are very successful, and a larger majority who are trying to replicate those styles. And to me, that's a bit of a bugbear for me.
What's
because
a bugbear?
It's kind of like a deal breaker, an annoyance. It's just something that really gets on your tits, really. But the reason for me, I think that's a thing I really don't like, is because there's so many people out there who do the style that you're doing their way. And that's the way they've designed their own style. You're basing yours, again, coming back to the other thing, you're basing your style solely off the way that they dress. So now you don't look like you in an awful lot of cases. You look like a projection that you're trying to portray of somebody else. So if you've got tattoos and you've got that stereotypical barber look, whatever it is, because it's a million different things to a million different people, there's a strong chance those people are trying to emanate somebody else. They're trying to replicate that person. And to me, as an entrepreneur, not saying I'm an entrepreneur, I'm just saying in general, entrepreneurs, if you have a distinct thing that you do, I think your image should be a projection of you. So it should be all of your inspirations rolled into one, rather than following a certain inspiration. I think you should allow yourself to be yourself. I don't think you should try too hard to replicate anybody else's style. That's what, again, only a personal opinion. There's plenty of people out there that are replicating looks and they look unbelievable. Men, women, them, everything else. Like, do you know what I mean? All of those, they look fantastic. To me personally, I just can't. I just dress the way I dress. I don't really give very much thought to how I dress.
Okay.
I don't really have time, to be honest.
Say again?
I don't really have time, to be honest. Like, just kind of do what I do. And I think people should try harder to be them. I don't think they should try harder to be somebody else. That's the short version.
The way you phrase that is really interesting, man. I think because there's so much influence coming at you from all angles, whether it's good or bad, you actually have to try harder.
Oh yeah.
To be who you really are.
Yeah, 100%. But then the other
that's
side
a really
of
interesting.
Like,
the way you said that's very interesting.
To go the opposite way, like to have a total juxtaposition, to have a total contradiction to that. Like some people who just try less do it better. Like I've seen an awful lot of people who have a certain style, certain barbers, I won't mention by name, who've anybody, like if any barber that's listening to the podcast has made it to this point for me, they'll know what I'm talking about. They'll know who I'm talking about. Some guys have managed to just like make an icon out of a hat. And that person, if they ever see it, or if anybody else who's a barber ever sees it, will know exactly who that is. Some people have managed to make like a massive, iconic kind of brand for themselves based off somebody else's nickname. Again, same thing, kind of an inside barber thing. People who know that will know exactly who I'm talking about. But they're not trying to do it. It's not that they decided, right, I'm going to use this to become my iconic image, my iconic brand, my iconic catchphrase. It just happened. Like an awful lot of people will do things by necessity or for ease, and it ends up becoming something that's very iconic about them, rather than them going, what am I going to do that's different? It's made out of necessity rather than want in an awful lot of cases.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that people who are individual and true to themselves, do they have that better chance of becoming a brand? I know before we started the podcast, I said to you, I wanted to talk to you about developing personal brand. Do you think it's easier for them, albeit I think riskier, because if you're going against the grain within your certain profession, I think it can be perhaps more challenging at the start to, I like to use the phrase, to blow up your business. But do you think that they have a better shot of being really big because their audience appreciates the authenticity?
Right. So just, if you can, just ask me that question again.
Yeah. So I'm saying that those people who are in a certain field, again, we'll take barbering as an example.
Yeah, cool.
Who aren't necessarily, they're not following the trend. They're not following the exact done thing. They're not following the aesthetic, the typical aesthetic, for example. Those people who are really true to themselves, do they have a better chance of becoming successful or developing their own personal brand and have it be massive than someone who's just doing what everybody else is doing in hopes of becoming that archetypal person in their career, in their field?
No, absolutely not. I don't think people who are true to themselves have a greater chance of more successful, based solely on the exposure that we have to media and social networks and stuff like that. Now, there's an aesthetic which you're expected to meet, and in an awful lot of cases, going against that aesthetic will not benefit you in any way, shape, or form. But if you go against the grain for the right reasons and you project, there's a great, I don't know, again, if anybody cares to listen to them, or if you probably have, but there's a guy called Simon Sinek, who's a motivational kind of speaker, but he always talks about start with your why. If you're going against the grain just to go against the grain, that's the wrong reason. If you're going against the grain because you want to do it, as in it's you as a person, that's fantastic. Does it mean you have a better chance of being successful in today's society? No. But, and this is where the book comes in, if you manage to portray yourself and your idea and your brand, and you can get people to attach to that, the return that you will have will be far beyond what you can have trying to replicate somebody else. But only at a certain point is you being yourself going to be more beneficial to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. At what point do you think that is?
I think a point where you can connect with people who are similar, who have similar interests or mindsets. But that's the best kind of business. So the way, like the easiest way to equate it would be, without naming names, there are an awful lot of influencers who have 100,000 followers who get 500 likes on a picture. There's an awful lot of people whom I know personally who have 5,000 followers who could get 1,000 likes on a picture. So the difference being, you can have 100,000 followers who don't fully believe in what you are or what you do, or you can have 5,000 followers who are absolutely all about what you're about. You can have 5,000 followers who believe solely everything that you're doing, and those 5,000 are worth far more than the 95,000 others that other person has. That's not a dig at anyone in particular, it's just a thing. I had a conversation with a kind of an Instagram celebrity barber a couple of years ago about that exact thing, because I was tagging people whom I was looking up to who had 100,000 followers, 50,000, 10,000 followers, one in particular 345,000 followers. And I remember saying it to him, and he was saying to me in response, I said to him, why am I tagging these people and they're not getting back to me? And he didn't give me an answer, because he was one of the people I was tagging. He didn't give me an answer. What he said to me was, why are you tagging me? And I said, because I value your opinion. He said, well, I get 10,000 message requests a day. He said, when I answer you because I see you, not because I'm looking for you. He said, that's the difference. If you tag your clientele, people who value what you do on an everyday basis, people who are deliberately all in with you, you're their barber, and you tag them in your posts, that's going to mean far more to them than it is to me. So I don't care. So I like you as a person, but I don't care. And that's when it changed for me. That's when I kind of went, right, I don't need to be an Instagram influencer. I don't need to be this. I have to do what I do. I have to find people who enjoy and value what I do. And I have to work to those people, not work to somebody else. At that point, being individual and having your own direction, your own ideas becomes very beneficial. Before that point, or trying to replicate somebody else, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to go and decide to do something that's out of the ordinary. But if you're doing it for the right reasons, if the reason you're doing it is your why, the reason you're getting up out of bed to go and do it, then it will be successful. But only after much consistency and hard work. At that point, being individual is massive. But before that, it's very tough. And to go and replicate somebody else is easier. It will get you a short-term gratification, but it won't work in the long term. It's a gimmick. If you're trying to replicate somebody else who's successful, you're using a gimmick. And to me personally, gimmicks can be very successful, but I don't like them. I don't see the value in them.
And what about the people who say, learn from other people's mistakes, success leaves clues, emulate others?
Yeah, absolutely, to a certain extent. Like, say, if you were to take a mathematical approach to everything, there are statistically strategies which will work better. But if you want to be big, you can use those strategies. And that's good. That's very good. That's not a bad thing. Again, I'm sitting here as a nobody. Like, I don't have 100,000 followers. Nobody cares who I am. Do you know what I mean? In the grand scheme. But it's just thoughts, reflections of a lonely man, whatever you want to call it. But for me personally, like, I think that if you want to be successful, you can be very successful emulating other people, reenacting stuff that they've done, following similar paths. But if you want to be different, if you want to be special, and if you want to get more enjoyment out of it, if you really want to enjoy what you're doing and love it, you have to follow your own path. You have to do what's good for you, what you enjoy doing, not just follow footsteps of somebody else. Like, that person has done it. They've laid the blueprint for how they did it. By all means, like, I take inspiration from people on a daily basis. I take mathematical approaches and calculated paths towards certain goals based on what other people have done. But you have to do it your own way and for the right reasons. You can make £1,000 doing a very similar job to somebody else, but you can't build a massive multinational Facebook, Google, Amazon style kind of business without having that individuality. There's a very, very what would you call it, fine line between being a replication of something that's very successful or being totally individual and being absolutely massive.
And which one are you going to be?
Whatever suits me at the time.
I think you're the latter.
I would like to be the latter, but again, on a day-to-day basis, it's gone far beyond being like money or being anything else. I just really enjoy getting up. I enjoy the guys that we have around us working with us at the minute. And I will have plenty of instances where I enjoy new staff that we have or new guys that start to work with us, new shops, new projects. But I've placed an awful lot more of a value on building what we have and enjoying what I have now. Because the reality is what I have now is something that at one stage I only dreamed of. Sometimes you just have to stop, look around and enjoy the ride a little bit. And that's what I'm trying to do right now.
And why have you guys been so successful? Because I've seen the reviews for Rude Boys, and every single one of them is 5-star, top comment. Why are you guys, and you guys are young. I mean, you're 24, you're relatively new to the barber game. Why are you guys so successful?
To me, as a personal thing, it comes back, like I said, to the individuality. But it comes to finding like-minded individuals, people who believe in an ethos that you set out. When you become a business owner, or you own a business, or you start a business, you started with an ethos of why. If you started with a how or a what, in an awful lot of cases, you can be successful, but you can't exceed yourself. You can't become something that gathers massive momentum. Okay, bringing it back to that particular Simon Sinek topic. When I started barbering, I loved it for the job that it was. It was like, what do? I cut hair. Now, I love my job because my why in the morning is to make people feel better about themselves. And that's not a cop-out. It's not a gimmick. It's not this thing that I say to people because it makes me sound really good. That's just what I like. So I love cutting hair. I love making people feel better about themselves. And I love being surrounded by people who share those views. And how can we achieve that more? So obviously myself and Aaron teamed up. We're very like-minded individuals. Obviously there's a business side to things too. Everybody wants to make money. There's no point doing something business-wise or starting a business to not make money in our situation. Plenty of people do it, but for us, it was always about having a situation where we could do what we loved without having to worry about money. At the minute, we're working towards that goal. Then we start looking for people who are like-minded to work with us, work for us, not because we want to make money from that person, because that person is going to embody everything that we believe in. And they're going to share that message the same way that we would like to do it, in the manner that we would like to do it, in the best possible way they can. That's why I think we're successful. We want to make people feel better about themselves. We give them a laugh when they're in the chair, have a great atmosphere in the shop where people feel relaxed, comfortable, make it very, very straightforward and easy for people. They come in, they get a good haircut, they get a great crack, and then they walk out feeling better about themselves. And that's a very, very simple concept and something I wholeheartedly believe in.